We're all pretty used to AI that can chat with us. But the real game changer, the next big leap, is AI that actually does stuff. We're talking about a huge shift, right? From just passive chatbots to proactive agents that can get things done out there in the world. So let's get into it and see how that evolution is happening.
So, what's the secret sauce here? I mean, what really separates a simple chatbot from, a true autonomous system that can go out and tackle complex goals for you? That's the big question we're going to unpack right now.
And this just lays it out perfectly. A chatbot, it's reactive. It just sits there and waits for you to ask something. But an agent? Oh, an agent is proactive. It doesn't just give you an answer. It makes a plan, it executes that plan, and it's actively working toward a goal you gave it. Think of it like this. A chatbot is an encyclopedia, but an agent is your personal assistant. Okay, so if we're going to build one of these agents, where do we start? Well, the very first step, the foundation of everything, is teaching it to understand what we want. And I mean really understand it. It all comes down to communication, which in the AI world has a special name, prompting.
And this is where prompt engineering comes in. It's the absolute bedrock of building an agent. It's way more than just asking a question. It's a whole discipline, really, about learning how to speak the AI's language so you can give it these super clear, unambiguous instructions. If you don't get this part right, you're just not going to build a reliable agent, period.
Think of these techniques as the knobs and dials on your control panel for the AI. Like role prompting. It's not just for fun. It's how you control its tone and expertise. Then you've got delimiters. These are kind of like putting up little fences in your prompt, telling the AI, hey, this is the instruction and this over here is the data. It keeps it from getting confused. But the most important one for building an agent, it's got to be structured output. This is how you force the AI to answer in a format that a computer can understand, like JSON. That's how a text response becomes an actual command that another program can run.
All right, so our agent can understand us. That's step one. Now for the really cool part. We have to give it a mind. And by that, I mean we need to give it the ability to actually reason through problems, and this is huge, to remember things. One of the most powerful ways to do this is something called chain of thought. And the idea is so simple but so effective. Instead of just demanding the final answer, you literally tell the model, hey, think step by step. And just that simple instruction forces it to break down a complex problem into smaller pieces and, show its work. The result, its reasoning ability goes way, way up.
Just look at this example. It's perfect. See how it's not just spitting out 11, 12, and 13? It's laying out its logic. It says, okay, let's call the first number x. Then it sets up the equation and solves it piece by piece. It's this process of writing down its thought process that almost always leads it to the right answer. It's pretty incredible.
Okay, now let's talk about memory. First up is short-term memory. You can think of this like the AI's RAM. It's everything that's happening in the current conversation. What you just typed, what it just said, it all lives in this thing called the context window. But here's the catch. The second that conversation is over, poof, it's gone. Total amnesia.
And that is exactly why we need long-term memory. This is like the AI's hard drive. It's a totally separate, permanent database. This is where the agent can save important stuff. Your preferences, facts it learned last week, key details from past chats. This is what allows it to actually learn about you and get smarter over time.
So when you put them side by side, the difference is pretty stark, right? Short-term memory is fleeting, temporary, lives only in the current chat. Long-term memory is persistent, it's scalable, and it sits in an external database, just waiting for the agent to pull information from it when needed.
Okay, this is getting good. Our agent can communicate, it can think, it can even remember things. But now it's time for the main event. It's time to act. This is where the agent actually plugs into the outside world and starts getting things done. And the way it does this is through something called tool use or function calling. This is absolutely crucial. Think of tools as the agent's hands and feet. It's how it can reach outside of itself to do things like search Google, pull data from a spreadsheet, or even send an email. A language model by itself can't do any of that. And these actions are getting unbelievably sophisticated. We're talking about agents that can literally see a computer screen and click on buttons and fill out forms just like you or me. And then you have these mind-blowing projects like Google's Project Astra that are giving agents eyes and ears to perceive and interact with the physical world around them. This is where it all stops being theory and starts getting very, very real. This whole thing is even changing how we write code. There's this new idea called vibe coding. It's awesome. A developer can just say something high level, like, hey, make this website look more modern and sleek, and the AI agent just gets the vibe and translates that into actual code. It's wild. It changes a developer's job from being a line-by-line mechanic to being more of an architect who just describes the grand vision. But, with all this power comes responsibility, right? It's not enough for an agent to be powerful. To be genuinely useful and not, a total disaster, it also has to be efficient, safe, and collaborative. It needs to be a good digital citizen.
A big part of that is just being smart about resources. I mean, you wouldn't use a sledgehammer to crack a nut, right? So an agent shouldn't use the most powerful, most expensive AI model for a simple question. A really smart agent acts like a project manager. It looks at the task and decides, okay, this is easy, I'll use the fast, cheap model, or whoa, this is tough, time to bring in the big guns.
And a really common way to do this is with the router agent pattern. It's basically an AI dispatcher. When a request comes in, its only job is to look at it, figure out how complex it is, and then route it to the best, most cost-effective model for the job. It's a simple concept, but man, is it efficient. Okay, efficiency is one thing, but what about safety? I mean, for really high-stakes decisions, we're talking medicine, finance, we can't just let the AI run wild. That's where the human-in-the-loop pattern becomes absolutely essential. It's not about replacing humans. It's about creating a partnership. The AI does all the heavy lifting and analysis, but a human always has the final say. And this is not some far-off idea. It's happening right now. Think about content moderation. The AI flags the borderline stuff, but a person makes the final call. Or medical diagnoses. An AI might spot something in a scan, but the doctor confirms it. In every single one of these cases, the AI assists, but a human decides. That synergy is the only way we can deploy this stuff responsibly. So let's recap. We've built our agent, it can talk, it can think, it can act, and it can play nice with others. But everything we've talked about so far, that's just the groundwork. That's the foundation for the real shift. So let's look ahead now to the truly mind-bending future this is all leading to. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? This is the North Star. We're heading towards a future where you don't give a step-by-step to-do list, you just state your goal. You say what you want the end result to be, and a whole system of these agents just figures out how to make it happen for you, autonomously.
So what does that future actually look like? Well, we're talking about generalist agents that could plan your entire company retreat from a single sentence. We're talking about deep personalization, where an agent anticipates what you need before you even realize it yourself. And then there's the really wild stuff, like metamorphic systems, where a team of agents can literally create new agents on the fly to solve a problem more efficiently. It's like a self-organizing AI workforce. And that really brings us to the final big question. Because as all of this stuff shifts from sci-fi to a daily reality, the question isn't if we're going to have these powerful agents. The question is, what are we going to ask them to do? So I'll leave you with this. If you had an agent that could achieve any goal for you, no matter how big or small, what's the very first thing you'd ask?